Yeah, man. We're in the building, ladies and gentlemen. You got Nick's. My God, Nick Herrera. We're here. We're gonna talk a little Cowboys. We're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna talk a little about what's going on. We're gonna talk a little bit about what's going on. Real quick, you got some echo there in the background. Is it me? It's me. Well, let me do that. It's on me. Had to kill it. It was on me. My guy Mendoza's in the building. What's going on, Mendoza? What's going on, Mendoza? Hey, we had some moves today. You know, a new quarterback, if you will, Nick. Right? We practice squads filled up, even if you will, and little hard knocks to talk about as well. First and foremost, Nick, how are you doing, good sir?
I am struggling right now. I am tired. My legs are weak. I ran for the first time in a while, it feels like. So it's been a struggle.
Yeti, yes. Go against Legend Stereo. Wait, okay. I don't hear nothing. 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Get the mute out of there. All right, boom. Let me do that. Yes, there we go. All right. Hit myself on a mute. I'm sorry. I hit myself on a mute. I muted myself. It happens sometimes. I'm sorry. Anyways, though, as I was saying, tonight, you had a little game.
Yeah, a little soccer game, which is out of my element. Haven't played soccer since second grade. Was convinced to play on a co-ed team. Got me out there running and had a chance to score my first goal. Definitely did not score. So we lost 1-0.
So, basically, it's on you, basically, is what you're saying. Oh, man, no.
Don't want to say that, but I had a chance.
You could have been tied.
But I'm more the defensive guy. I'm a big guy that stands in the middle and doesn't let them score. So
I was like, wait, what are you about? But you're like 3 or 4 games in now, right? About 3 or 4?
Yeah, we played probably 5. I think 5 weeks. Yeah. So I'm getting the hang of it.
But here's the thing about it, though, Nick. You haven't died yet.
Haven't died, and I'm not the worst player. That's
boom. Winning.
That's wins.
Hashtag winning.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Look. As a guest here on the show, Nick, let me ask you. I'll spin the wheel. You want to start with Hard Knocks? Do you want to start with the new quarterback? Which one do you want to start with first? Where do you want to go?
Let's go. Let's knock out Hard Knocks.
Let's talk about Hard Knocks. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about episode 4. Episode 4. We get 5 episodes. Is that what we get? Is it 5, or do we get 6?
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure. But anyways, let's talk about episode 4. As you saw and you watched, I'll pivot to you. What did you like about episode 4 of Hard Knocks? What did they give you that you sunk your teeth into, perhaps?
I think the only thing that I really tweeted about when I was watching it was the Connect 4 game. Man, LVE, man, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, LVE hunts wolves.
Yes.
He doesn't play Connect 4, apparently.
Not a strategy
guy. Obviously, LVE's not very acclimated to Connect 4 and how that game works. And now, could it be a little bit of HBO magic and editing the right way? I don't know, because I think, there was just a lot, and you can kind of see the faces what they were talking about. And man, it looks like Micah was giving him the business, if you will, on the Connect 4, which I found funny because we actually talked about this out the gate because he was doing the chess, with Amari back in OTAs and back at the Star. And, very early on, he was like, I brought Connect 4 out here because I'm a beast of Connect 4. And to watch it kind of come around, if you will, and he was playing. But again, one thing that we've seen, I guess, one thing that I would take from the 4 episodes that we saw, we have seen Parsons with LVE a lot.
Yep.
We've seen him, whether it was practice, during games with LVE is like, oh, you want to go back in, huh? Or, LVE's on like, you can't make every play. And a little bit of pushback there a little bit, but there was some veteran knowledge he was trying to give him. All the way to the cookout. And mama, hey man, Parsons, if you ever see this and your mom wants to cook, I raising my hand. Yes, please. That looks pretty good. I would like to come get some of that food. And then of course LVE showed up. Did you find it, or have you found it? As my guy Collins is in the building. Danucci seems antisocial. And we'll talk a little about that. Very dry personality, as he also said. But do you find it interesting through 4 shows with the linebackers? We're not seeing a lot of Neal, right? Not a lot of Cox, which, Cox and obviously Parsons are rookies together coming in as a draft class. No Jalen Smith being seen around, or even at the cookout, if you will. But boy, you do see a lot of LVE and Parsons. Do you think that's on purpose, or is this just something natural that's happening, Nick?
I'd like to think it's natural happening. I think it's good for both those players to be hanging out with each other. It could be a touch of HBO, kind of playing it that way, leaving Jalen Smith off a little bit, kind of get us.
I mean, they haven't showed Jalen Smith basically at all this entire show.
But like again, if it's natural and those guys are gravitating toward each other, I think their skill sets kind of play off each other. So I encourage it, man. I like the intensity that Parsons brings, the sheer athleticism. And then you get the brute force that you're getting from a LVE. So get those guys together, get them bouncing ideas off each other. I think that's a cool friendship. I like them. They're going to be playing a lot together. As far as Neil, not really sure. That is a little weird. I would have expected them to maybe highlight him a little bit more because he has been active in practice and in games. So that one's a little puzzling actually.
Yeah, and they also kind of highlighted LVE talking to Joe Witt after after they had the meeting. He's like, "Hey man, I what you said, blah blah blah." So they have a little bump to LVE or whatever, and it's something I've kind of talked about on a array of different shows that I've talked with people and whatnot. And I've said this on Twitter as well. I'm like, man, the one thing that nobody's really talking about is LVE's had a great camp. Now, yes, we all hold our breath, Cowboys Nation, because LVE and the injuries and what's happened, and of course. Obviously, coming from Sean Lee to LVE, you hate to see it. Yep. But I mean, so far had a great camp, and and we'll see how that goes. Man, you know what? I think the biggest thing. I don't want to tag it biggest thing, but boy, seeing Dak at practice and the roll out the throw, and he's looking at the defensive guys on the sideline. Oh yeah, I'm back.
That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Come on,
man. Look, I just heard that in the back of my head. What's that John Wick when he says, "Everybody keeps asking me if I'm back." I'm thinking I'm back. And whenever Dak hit that, I was like, "Oh, he's in this John Wick mode right now." Hey, man, I tell you what. As much as I'm a big fan of Dak, shout out to my guy Tuck. He was very concerned here and there, and I was like, man, he's good. He's good. And I jumped out on Twitter and I was like, I don't care about the backup quarterback. And we're going to talk about Will Greer here in a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't care about the backup quarterback because no matter who's here, if Dak's gone, it doesn't matter. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Cam Newton, but we'll get to that. It was knock on wood, you're jinxing it, Knicks, and all this. I'm like, well, guys, take last year out of the frame. How many games has Dak missed?
Exactly.
So, I'm going right back to that standpoint. Last year was the blip. I look at all the other things, and Dak's going to be fine. And when Dak looked over to the sideline and says, I'm back, I was like, oh, here goes. I said, well, forget Rain. I'm about John Wick. He's on that John Wick mode, man. And I love that. I love that from him. And look, they're not highlighting him during the games, but you get the little glimpses and you can kind of see him and how he's encouraging and excited and stuff. And it just makes you, for me anyways, it gets me very excited about QB1, Nick.
Oh, for sure. And I think with him too, and I know like you said, a lot of people have been worried about his health and him not getting a lot of looks or no looks in preseason. I mean, this is Dak Prescott we're talking about, one of the most mentally tough guys that we've seen play the position in a long time, So if we're talking about a guy who can step in and be the guy right away, come on, it's Dak. He's done it. He's done it multiple times already. So when he started doing squats, a couple months after surgery,
man, right.
The dude's not thinking about it, and those injuries they creep in the back of your head for a lot of players, especially ACL injuries, stuff like that. I just don't think he's one of those guys. Again, maybe that's just me putting too much faith in him, but I think it's behind him. I think he's ready to go. I think if he had to play a couple weeks ago, he would have.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's just built different. I mean, it's just kind of what it is, in my opinion, and then too, I think a lot of this has been very coy. I think Mike McCarthy is definitely knows who they're playing week one. And I think they've just been very coy and shy about everything because even going into the Jacksonville game, I mean, you're not, Kellen Moore's not going to call the plays because he's doing the game plan. I'm like, to a certain extent for me, I'm like, okay, my guy. I'm like, all right, whatever. But again, what they did and everybody was very upset about the Jacksonville game. And I was like, I was watching it because we were at Buffalo Wild Wings. We were having our fantasy football draft directly after the game and everything. And I was like, guys, they played their starters. We had a bunch of guys that was going to make the team. I said, man, they were super vanilla, not just offensively, but defensively, because we can go back throughout the rest of preseason and see the defense be a lot different than they were this last week. They just were not going to give Tampa any tape in this last game to go off of. And I thought a lot of Cowboys fans got a little riled up and were upset about it. I'm like, guys, they were just super vanilla, didn't care. Like they are all in. Now there's two ways to look at that, in my opinion, Nick, is that this is smart. This is great. You are playing the game that you should be playing. The other side is, and there's a lot of Cowboys fans, I believe, that are on this side that say, man, this is foolish. We're not going to be ready. We're limited to Tampa. So I'll ask you, do you think this is very smart how they played this thing? Or do you think this might cost them when they get to Tampa as we're looking at everything?
I think it was a smart move. Again, like you said, we're playing Tampa. We're playing a vet quarterback. You don't want to give him anything, and you don't want to get anyone hurt. So, do you really want to dial up all these unique blitzes and coverages and run all these crazy routes and have these trick plays to try to win a game against Trevor Lawrence in a game that doesn't matter with players that most likely aren't making the team?
Right.
Honestly, the last game, it really depends on where you're at as a team. For us, even though we are young, we have a lot of vet starters. So those guys aren't going to play. Jacksonville, they have a lot of guys who maybe are starters, maybe not. So they had to play those guys. So you have to approach it in a different way. In an ideal world, yes, you'd love to be able to play all your guys and get enough practice and do everything. But it's the cards that were dealt to us, and I think we played them correctly. So.
I like that. Great answer. I completely kind of agree with you on that. No, but back to Hard Knocks though. Obviously, Hardy. Are you? Obviously, we should all be pro contacts and not pro glasses. Hardy. I definitely enjoyed his story arc and what's happened with him. Obviously, back to the practice squad. We'll talk about this in a minute. Doing enough to at least have a role here on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Loved his food, and I will disagree with his food choice of mashing the macaroni and the yams together. I don't know about you.
No,
look, I love my yams. I love my macaroni. I'm not sure about mashing those together, Nick. Are you a yam and macaroni guy?
No, I'm even further. I'll eat one thing.
Yeah,
it's gone. Then the next thing, and then the next thing. I'm not all over the place, let alone mashing it all together. No, thank you.
Yeah, see, look, my mashed potatoes and macaroni can kind of mix, and I'm okay there.
Better.
Not the yams and macaroni though. I'm out on that for my guy Hardy.
Going back to what we were saying about contacts versus glasses, at what point do you just get LASIK? I've never gotten it, so I don't know. But
fair.
It seems to be an issue either way. Whether it's fogging up or losing contacts. I don't know. It worked for Jameis. He's starting now, so.
Yeah, if that's a viable option, I think it runs about $1,500. I think they could. Well, and look, if you get the $1,500, you play with the Cowboys. I'm sure they would probably opt and let you get that on the house, if you will. So if that's an option, they should definitely follow that. Shout out to my guy Brian's that's in the building, man. What's going on? Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Chance. He might not have the money, but I'm thinking if he's with the Cowboys, especially on the practice squad, I think with the medical staff, they might be able to make that happen for him now. If that's look, maybe it's not correctable. I don't know.
Yeah,
but if LASIK can, man, he needs to run that up the pole and let that happen for sure. But yeah, or if he's gonna look, he's got to go all the way in. Here's my thing with Hardy. He's got to go all the way in like Eric Dixon, not just the. You got to have the strap. You got to tie the strap on and have the goggles and let's go. Right? You can't halfway.
Yeah.
Right? There's no such thing as halfway crooks. Yeah, you got to put them all the way on. So obviously we got some more of my guy Isaac. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Isaac. The last name, Nick. Look, I've messed up the last name so much. By all means, the last name is Alarcon. Is
not
that it? Are you not okay?
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah, my guy Matt Ellsby trying to help me.
Don't pronounce Spanish names. That's not me.
Yeah, I'm not. My goodness, I be trying. I try to do the best I can. And I love the fact that Mike McCarthy, which, I mean, look, let's be clear. Mike McCarthy walked out there when he named the captains for the last game. Boy, did he not look like the non-denominational church pastor that was just hip to the game? The shirt that he came in. It's kind of how he looked. But I love the fact of when they made Isaac a captain. They definitely highlighted, I want the cake.
Yeah,
exactly. I need the cake.
I'm sure he's heard that enough, and he's getting a little sick of it already.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure. And then as we're going through the game, I was like, man, imagine if you were sitting next to Isaac's mom in the stands.
Right.
Like, how long before you're like,
okay,
I hate it here. But she's cheering for a boy.
Yeah.
I can't be mad at her.
I love that, but also it is also a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like, oh my God. I'm super excited. We'll talk. I mean, obviously another that's going to come back. The flip that they talked about, like, and right when he talked to Tyrone, like, and again, shout out to HBO on how they edited it. I mean, he was doing okay. Some things happened. Tyron's like, hey, man, and it kind of told him, like, hey, boom. And then it told him, you can't be just nice out there. Mm-hmm. And you saw that flip on him and him go out there and do the things that you want to see, get some pancakes on, being mean, doing what he needs to do. Might turn into a guard. Maybe, we know he signed him as a tackle, but he might turn into, for me, I would say, as he's sitting back going through another season, I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Maybe he ends up being the swing guard as Connor Williams leaves. Yeah. McGovern takes the spot. Maybe he becomes that swing guard for us next year.
Yeah, can he learn how to snap? Maybe he can help be a center too. Jeez. That'd be
nice.
Also,
they Connor Williams snapping, yes. But yeah, I loved it. And, also too, early on when the heat was out, he's like, it's like this every day in Mexico. Yeah. And then, as it went on, he goes, right, I know I'm from Mexico, but damn. Yeah, that Texas heat hits different.
You got a little cocky at first.
Yeah, it hit different. On top of him, obviously they out highlighted Kamara again. Mm-hmm. Mom came through. Obviously, they showed him going into the pro shop, different things that way. Yep. Showed her in the stands. So, for us outside looking in, we were kind of thinking, well, who would they highlight? Who are they going to attach us to? I thought Simi was going to be the guy. Honestly, for me, going into it, we had shows, we talked about it, and I was like, yeah, I think Simi will be the guy that they might highlight. But man, they have doubled down on Isaac and Kamara.
Yeah. I'm really surprised on who they decided to choose, because I feel like we have a lot of personality, especially for some of the young guys. And they kind of gravitated towards those guys, and it was interesting. I kind of thought they'd highlight Boss Man at least a little bit. They didn't talk to him.
There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of meat on that bone there for sure.
I am glad they did highlight a little bit of the Diggs and Cooper matchup. That was nice.
Well, I mean, and who's that guy that was? Look, for anyone that watched the Rams versus was it Rams versus Chargers preseason game? I forgot who it was. Maybe. And there was like this little fight or whatever, and they were kind of cool. And then this lady from the back threw the bottle that like sparked everything.
Yes, yeah.
Right? That was Dak. That was Dak. Because Coop has always been the guy, like, I don't really talk a whole lot.
Yeah.
But then, Coop and Diggs are kind of a little bit, and the Dak was like, oh, bet. And boy, Dak just started pressing that needle. And man, I mean, obviously we saw the results. I mean, Cooper did what he needed to do, got them catches and them touchdowns. They ended it. And then Coop at the end was even like, my bad, 20. Yeah, my bad too. So that's even not me, but it was on Dak. And Dak did this.
I will say though, even though Diggs kind of got beat on that, I love that swagger that he brings, though. It's great that you get some guy who says, "Hey, you can't beat me," and if you do, dude, that's awesome. We're gonna get better, though. Like, I feel like in the past, a lot of our corners, like, "Hey, I'm just happy to be here. I'm gonna do my job, and if I get beat, then on to the next play." Like, no, this dude wants to bring the fight, and I really like that. So,
and you're not wrong. And let me double down on you on that. I don't know the last time we had a guy like that here. Like Jordan, we remember Jordan Lewis being a little rookie and back and forth with Dez, but it wasn't quite the same though, like Diggs. And look, and even a touchdown. I mean, Diggs had great coverage. It was a great throw that actually got him the touchdown. Anything less is different. But it goes back to Dak again in that psychology of Dak. He's like, hey, look, I'm looking at these guys, and he knows how Coop is. And look, Coop's wide receiver one. I know a lot of people are crowning Lamb, and I love Lamb. Don't get it twisted. I was preaching Lamb, caught a lot of flack back in January and February for the draft happened before Lamb that we shouldn't take Lamb, or that he wouldn't be there. But Dak understands the psychology of everything. He's like, well, let me test. To me, as I'm trying to, maybe dive into Dak says like, okay, I'm having fun here, but you know what? Let me really push Diggs here a little bit. Let me go ahead and start and let me needle it. Let's go. Let's rile this up some, and this is what leadership does. And it pushes the right buttons on both sides and does those things.
And it's good to see him still engaged because this is the week where he still wasn't throwing full 11 on 11, right?
Yep.
So at least be engaged and get these guys going, man. If you're not going to be playing and taking those reps, talk your shit. Get these guys, and get them motivated. Get them competing. So get that energy up. So I like that. It's good to see.
Yeah, no, big facts. Big facts. Other things too. Watching how they had to handle COVID, I think it was eye opening for me because. What we kind of understand now, we knew, like from the outside looking in, what we knew was this. And I think maybe this is the best thing about Hard Knocks that we learned. How do teams have to handle COVID if you have somebody that goes to that list, right? Because we just kind of thought like, well, they just get separated, right? They just get separated, and things are just business as usual. And what we found out was as soon as somebody hits that COVID list, bro, everything changes within that room or within that structure, right? It's okay, well, we got to separate everybody. We're back to videos. We're until we figure out who's negative, who's not, what's happening. And I thought it was very eye opening. And as soon as you put somebody on the COVID list, how everything else around them changes. And I think that's a very, not just for the Cowboys. Look, I think that's for NFL fans in general, no matter what fan of a team you are, to understand if you have one person go to the COVID list, it doesn't just affect that person and life goes on. They pivot and shift everything, Nick. What do you think about that?
And I think a lot of people kind of bounce off what you said. Like they think, okay, if someone, has a red flag for COVID, it's almost like an everyday work thing where they just go home and everyone keeps working just like normal. It's not, man. It affects everybody. When they showed, I can't remember which defensive coach it was, or was it the special teams coach that was I think it was Fossil talking about how they hate these
Fossil
meetings. It was one of the things
because he is like, hey CJ, how do I feel about these meetings from last year?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're right. It was and so it's one of the things where like, man, these guys have to coach with all these guys just on little screens trying to get their attention. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. So, it impacts everybody. And I think it was a good glimpse to see what they have to deal with.
Yeah. Obviously we got the people coming back now to a certain extent. It's helped us some to own some guys, let waivers come and go, figure out who we want to do, whatever the backside or whatnot. Ron Hopkins, to be honest with you, man, I appreciate you tuning in. We talk a lot as well. This is not look, here's what we're not going to do. We in 2021 are not going to act like anything that happens in this country is equivalent to slavery. I just, I'm not trying to get on no political, no nothing. That's not what we do here. But I do at least want to say this. All the stuff that's going on is nowhere near what slavery was, not just in this country, but around the world, and when slavery happened anywhere. Okay. Let me even put it in that context. I think slavery is way overused at the end of the day, and it's not like we're not going to do that. Okay, I don't want to do that, but I appreciate you though, Ron. We've talked a lot, but let's not tie what's happening right now. We hear Cole Beasley and everything he's going through and going on and everything, and turn this into they're being treated like slaves. Let's not do that. Okay, and we'll move on from that. Okay. But again, back to that. And then of course we had to see Joe Witt again, not just call the plays because Joe Witt had to call the plays on the fly. but then he had the back door during the actual, during the actual practices.
Yeah.
Everybody was separated. So he had some guys in the room, but he was on video and going through. And that's when we saw LVE, who wasn't in the room with him, come to him on the practice field and say, hey, man, I appreciate your words, so on and so forth. Again, just a different pivot in understanding how this has to be handled, not just right now in preseason, right? But, moving forward. I thought, for me, it was very just intriguing to get that bird's eye. For me, it was just very, very intriguing to see the bird's eye view of how they have to handle this and how they have to move forward anytime these things happen. And games don't count right now. Man, when the games count, a
lot of fans, I don't think they realize that's stuff that you have to plan for. If Mike McCarthy has to leave right before kickoff, someone's got to have that responsibility. Same thing with Dan Quinn, and we saw it. And that's something that I have to prepare for. It's not like Madden where you can just press pause, sub in a couple people, and then you're good. You have to have every contingency plan, in place for every person that might miss, whether it's Dak, whether it's Joe Schmo covering, kickoffs. You have to have those things planned out. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Again, because I know a lot of people talk about and we'll get on here on Hard Knocks and we'll move forward because we got a couple blocks we got to get to still. But before we get there, I got one more point. Any other point, anything that you saw Hard Knocks you want to talk about for my last point?
Team-wise, we talk about it real quick. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Terrell Basham's comedy.
The stand-up.
His stand-up. I thought that was entertaining. I don't know how good his jokes landed if you weren't specifically on the Cowboys roster, but hey, man, he had the confidence to go up there. That says a lot.
He played to his crowd, though. Hold on. Yeah, as a comic, he did play to his crowd. Yep. Cowboys were there. Here's what I would say. As he tried to reverberate that again for those that wasn't there, as soon as D-Law showed up, if you wasn't sure about maybe the onus that D-Law carries in that building, as he was given the recap, and as soon as D-Law leaned on the door, boy, he just fell to pieces. He fell to pieces. He was like, you showed up, man. I can't even do it. So Basham, don't look, work on your craft. I'm not going to discredit. Work on the craft. You knew your room. Look, A+ for knowing your room. However, don't quit your day job just yet. Let's figure that out across the line. You're not wrong. Yeah, the stand-up was pretty funny. Yeah, that was definitely a nice little curve there. But in all, I know a lot of Cowboys Nation and even some people of the content creators on the higher end have been like, man, this has been very boring, very boring, very boring. And for me, I mean, here's what I'd say from that is that man, thank God it's boring.
Yeah.
If you want to call it boring, man, thank God it's boring, because it hasn't been boring around here in a long ass time, to be honest with you. And I'm okay with boring. Boring's fine. Within that, man, I'd say, man, I found a lot of things intriguing. Now I'm a football nerd, and that's fine. Like I said, the COVID stuff I found very, very intriguing, because I thought that gave me a different insight that we didn't have last year. These teams dealt with stuff as compared to now. I know as we're going into games, if a team that we're playing has a COVID issue, like I know what they're up against now, or on the back door of us, I know what we're up against now, because it gave me an insight. I think the other thing, here's my top three: the COVID situation. 2, hey man, if you ever was like, well, Dak, because there was this idea that, well, Dak's just a corporate guy, he does whatever, blah blah blah. Maybe not really sure why he's a leader. I think we've been very much open to why the players love Dak, and boy, I love what do you want to call him? Arrogant Dak. Maybe Arrogant Dak's Twitter is actually arrogant. Maybe Dak. Maybe it is Dak. I don't know. But I love Dak in this light and what's going through and what we've been able to see. And then I think number 3 for me is, and these will be my 3, and I'll give you the same space there, Nick, to give your 3 so far through these 4 episodes. Number 3 for me is I think they've highlighted our guy that coaches the defensive line from across the pond, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think for good reason. I think this show is decided to be very international, right? Because they've done a lot if we're paying attention, right? So Kamara, Ivory Coast, right? Isaac, Mexico, all right. Excuse me, his name escapes me right now. From the UK and things that are happening, but you kind of see how this global game is being reached out, but you see how it matters right here underneath the Cowboys umbrella. And my guy, as the coach sat there and said, man, he was like, I can only talk so much. It's got to be on y'all at a certain point, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that from him. So this has been very international for a reason. Dird, thank you. Thank you, Mendoza. I appreciate you. This has been very international, I think, for a reason, because the NFL wants to grow. You know, they want to be global, just like the NBA is global.
Yeah,
and they've done that in the right way, and I think they chose the right people in the right way. Because I think, again, Kamara, you know, and his family, and it's an important story, right? I think the Isaac story through the international program through the NFL is important. I think as the coach, Aiden Dirt here is important, and you got to see that. So I think he's done a lot of different things in general. But I've been, for me personally, I've been very entertained by this. I know a lot of people say it's boring. I've enjoyed it tremendously, but I think the COVID standing, seeing Dak in general, and the international flavor, I've enjoyed. For you, top three, or however you want to kind of attack that, Nick, by all means, and we'll pivot to the next move.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have like a top three, but I think the biggest thing that I found entertaining about the season so far is really looking into the different relationships that are on the team. So the first one we had was Dak with McCarthy. You know, how is that? How do they interact? And for me personally, I think it's fine. I think it's business.
Yeah, I think it's better than I think it was better than last year. I'm with you.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think a lot of that also kind of what we were talking about earlier is the COVID stuff, like being around these guys more often, more freely. You know, you can develop those relationships another year through it. So business, I think there's a mutual respect there. And I think it's good for both of them. The other one that I noticed, and this was actually more kind of just a random thought that I had during this last episode, was the interaction with McCarthy and just kind of in front of the whole team. And I feel like it's definitely different than we've seen in past with, say, like Jason Garrett. It seems like the rest of the team, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, hey, let's go to work, but also, hey, we're here to like be around each other and have fun. You know, like they're a little bit less robotic, they're a little bit more loose. And I think overall, maybe the relationship from Dak and McCarthy is a little bit less buddy-buddy, which is good. But I think on the other hand, the rest of the team is a little bit more buddy-buddy with their head coach nowadays. Again, maybe I'm way off and I read way too far into it, but that's just kind of the vibe I got. What do you think? Did you kind of notice anything like that?
You know, I think when McCarthy's words might hit home differently.
Yeah.
I with throughout the team. I think that matters. You know, because his standpoint is not what we heard last year, you know, through the media, no behind the scenes, to what we've seen him talk about this year, you know, behind the scenes. It's been right across the, he hasn't switched up, if you will. And I think that matters. I think for me, when you talk about Dak and McCarthy, it is business. I agree there. However, I think they are both football guys, and at times you see it. Unlike with Garrett, look, and we don't got so much. Look, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself or, oh, well, this is why he should be. That's not what I'm saying. We don't got so much of a clips or whatever, them throwing the ball back and forth, or maybe they're trying to hit the, you know, the goalpost or whatever. But I think there's the business side of it. And the one thing I've always said about Dak, and which is great for this organization, let me be clear when I say this. Dak's not Romo in this sense, and this is not a dig on Romo. He's not a beers and nachos guy. Yeah, he's not. He's not going to go with the Joneses. He's not going to name his kid after the Joneses. He's not going to have the beer and sit up and do all that. He's like, yes, I'm here. He's He's more Aikman than Romo, if you will, in that standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't understand what that means, then go look through the history. Go look at how Aikman has treated the franchise, and with Jerry, even to a certain extent. There's not a hate there or nothing. There's a mutual respect, but it's like, hey, man, it is what it is, right? And that's kind of how Dak is, and we should be excited about that. But I think the biggest thing, maybe that we didn't get the preseason, the training camp that we wanted last year to this year, I think what we found is Dak and McCarthy have found a common ground because they're both football guys.
Yep.
Forget all the fluff. Forget everything else is being said. Forget the beer and nachos, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah.
They've what Dak has found out about him, unlike Garrett, is we're football guys, and we can tie ourselves to that. No matter whatever the hell else is going on, we're that. And to me, that's great in that standpoint.
Yep.
You know?
I love to see that.
Oh man, yeah, facts. And also too, I think another thing as well, Dak's now what we would call a quote unquote made man, and we see that even more, like not on the field per se, but I think when we see the meetings of Dak and stuff, you can tell like, hey, yeah, I'm a made man. Like, look, not from an arrogant standpoint, but I get to call and do things differently, and this is why I go back to you got to go back to Romo right before Romo got the paid day or the payday. You didn't hear a lot of kill, and changing plays and doing stuff, right? And then once he got paid, he's like, okay, I'm here. And he was able to have that freelance to do that. We had to go back. Like, there was a time when Linehan told Dak, don't you dare change anything.
Yeah.
Dak's a made man now. He's a made man now. And now, if we line up, just like when you heard Dak say, oh, yeah, I'm back, you know, it's the same kind of attitude on the field that's going to move. This is what gets me excited about Dak even more so than before. There's no limitation. If there were limitations on Dak before now. If you don't believe that, well, I'm sorry. There just were because you had to get the bag. The bag is secured. You're the face of the franchise. There's no question now. So as we're seeing this during, Hard Knocks, guess what? Oh, yeah. Week 1 in Tampa, everyone's like, oh, well, I think the over-under in Vegas is like 25 pass attempts. I'm like, you want free money? Do you want free money? Because Dak's throwing the ball more than 25 times in Tampa. Please. And we should all be excited about that, especially with the weapons that we have. So, yeah, man, back to your original point with McCarthy, it is business, but it's business with the underline that they both understand they're football guys, and I think that's a great thing. But with that being said, what do we got a new quarterback. We did get a new quarterback. The former Florida, aka, we have a coach here in Old News who was our offensive coordinator during the Jacks game. He played a couple games for the Peds or whatever. Then he went on to, West Virginia. Great game against, for a lot of Longhorns fans, right? Went and did his thing and got that win.
Yep.
So, a lot of people were like, anybody but Cooper Rush. Now, obviously, Cam Newton became available, and the Cam train started running. However, they added a quarterback, and it's Will Grier. So, Nick, are you feeling better about the backup quarterback position, or are you indifferent, or you hate it?
It's I mean, I don't love it. Don't hate it. I don't think he's very good right now. If you want a guy who you can bank on being consistent, what you're going to get, you're going to play Cooper Rush. Because his ceiling's super low right now. He doesn't have that great of an arm, but you know what you're going to get. Will Grier, I mean, I don't know what he is. I think his 2 games he played, he threw 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. Basically 50%. Basically, he threw a DiNucci style game the times he played. So it doesn't
Don't
give me a lot
bring up
of
Nucci
faith.
here. Hold on. Nucci man gang in the building. Don't bring up Nucci here. I love Nucci.
Hey, I've been defending him all day about him being on the practice squad. So I'm with you there. Not saying he's great, but there's a place for him on a practice squad.
There you go.
Ours, but he's there. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't give me faith. If Dak goes down for any long period of time, I don't want Grier to be the guy. I think that's where they actually do start to look at other options if they do have to do that. But I mean, if you have a guy that comes in to end a quarter or something like that, I guess it kind of depends on how risk averse you are. Like if you want to and you're running the ball well, just put Cooper Rush back there, hand it off to Zeke a handful of times and get out of there. But if you need someone to sling it, you might just go with Greer then, because he's not afraid to throw it. So
yeah,
just two very different styles. So it's one of the things where like I don't feel good about either one.
Right. Look, I'm not. I don't want to be in the the category of anybody but Rush. But man, Rush just does not have an NFL arm. It is just what it is, and I've said that before. But he has a sponsor. Okay, and that sponsor is Kellen Moore, and that's why he's here. Because I mean, you could have flipped a coin on him and Double G, but Double G didn't have the sponsor. All right, so bet I understand why Cooper Rush is here. The one thing I will say, at least to this point, is that Will Grier has if you look at who drafted him, right, and look who the coordinator was, right? He got drafted 19. Coaching staff left, new coaching staff in 20. So we had to kind of add those things in. So he was drafted by somebody else. Somebody else came in. Did he get thrown to the Wolves a little bit? Not a great game. Fair enough. And then I think the second game, he basically threw the pick six and they pulled him, if I'm not mistaken. Because like all of his passing yards, and he had 2 interceptions or whatnot, or maybe 3 or whatever. And then he came in the second game through the pick six. All right, we've seen enough. But if we go into, as we're talking 19, 20, into year 3, and I actually pulled and I posted this on the Star Game group and page, or you can go catch my tweet on it. The guy that follows the team, because look, we don't look, for me personally, I used to do an NFL podcast. I don't follow the NFL as much anymore as I do the Cowboys. Whoever we play, that's when I kind of lock in on them and kind of go back through them. So I was like, well, let me just see, because it was kind of mixed. Like there was the anybody but Rush side, and then there was we wanted Cam and nobody else, and then there was it doesn't really matter, they all suck. Okay, cool. Bad. That's fine. I said, well, let me go look. So there was a Sports Illustrated guy that follows the Panthers, and actually had an article that said the Panthers got it wrong. They should have kept him over PJ. And so I read it, went through it, kind of went back to the games. As far as preseason goes and what you want to put stock in, for whatever we want to say, he had a better preseason than any of our quarterbacks on our roster at the time before we made cuts. So there's that. And the same reason that Cooper Rush is here with a sponsor, well, Newsomeyer's here, who coached him back in 16, 15, 16.
Yeah.
And he has a sponsor. So boom, he's here now. Same thing with him. Maybe not the NFL, maybe a little bit stronger than Rush's. Throws a little bit more anticipation, different things like that. But I mean, we just got to wait and see. Here's what I don't want. I don't want to carry 3 quarterbacks.
That was going to be my question. I'm there with you.
Look, if it's Greer, so be it. We'll bite the bullet to get rid of Rush. Don't bring Greer on here to keep 3 quarterbacks. Is my only point. And I made this tweet. Shit, I don't know. What was it? Was it 2 weeks ago? Now I came out and I was like, man, look, I don't give a damn who the backup quarterback is. I don't care. I don't care who the backup quarterback is, because if Dak is gone for the entire year, there's nobody you can sign that's going to get us to the ultimate goal. So it's Dak or bust. We're basically playing the shell game. Hey, who do you like? Let's just shell game. Let's just move around. Do you feel better about this name? Do you feel better about – look, I don't care if Cam Newton comes in here. I don't care. If Cam Newton comes in here, that's great. That's fine. Look, and I would agree that Cam Newton would be the best option at backup quarterback currently. Now, my guy Massey's going to get on because he hates Cam Newton and he's terrible. And I said, look, Cam Newton is better than Cooper Rush. It's not about Dak. It's about Cooper Rush. Cam Newton currently is better than Cooper Rush. Come on, let's be clear. Either way, I don't care who you bring in here.
And also, like you said, if we lose Dak for a full season, or 10 games, like
it's over.
It changes the whole scope. But here's what I'll say and I'm not a big Cam Newton fan either, where he is at now in his career. But say if Dak hurts his ankle and has to miss 3 games. I'd be intrigued with Cam Newton coming in and play 3 games. I think you could sneak in 1, maybe 2 wins, depending on who we play.
Agreed.
If we're putting in Cooper Rush, do we feel the same way?
Nope.
I don't think so.
No.
And
again, it's always about Rush.
Probably not. You know, if we had a better defense, maybe. And that's I still have questions about that. Right now, you do need quality quarterback play to come out with wins. So that's a tough one. I would have liked to see Cam Newton in there again under certain circumstances. I'm not a huge Cam Newton fan. If he was willing to settle for a backup role and kind of do the whole Andy Dalton, hey, we'll try to jumpstart your career again. Great. As long as you're a good teammate and you buy into, helping the ones get better, by all means. But I don't think necessarily that's the case. I think he wants a chance to play. So I don't really want to talk about Cam Newton much, but we'll figure something out with the guys we have, I guess.
Right. And look, Cam Newton came out, what was it, February 22nd? He was on the podcast. He was like, man, there's not 32 guys better than me. And look, I don't really disagree with that. And look, and here's what I like, from his response, because I think it was Brandon Marshall's like, what are you, top 10, top 15? And he didn't say that. He said, there's not 32 guys better than me.
Yep.
So he understands he's not a top 10 quarterback anymore. And maybe he even understands he's not a top 15 quarterback anymore. Mm-hmm. But he's not wrong, in this asset of there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him. And look, and I do agree. I'm not saying he's top 20 or whatnot, but look, my entire point has always been, who's better than Rush? Bro, nobody can tell me, no matter what we think about Cam Newton, from the time he didn't dive on the ball, because everyone wants to go back, we didn't dive on the ball. He's been downhill since and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, there's a lot of different things that happened there. Yeah. But we're talking about right now, September 1st still for us on the Central or West Coast. For y'all on the East Coast, it is September 2nd. But with that being said, Cooper Rush is not a better quarterback right now today than Cam Newton.
No. And if it was just who's better, he would definitely be on a roster. Because I agree with what he said. He is in the top 32 best quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. But there are other factors that go into that to where, hey, is this a guy we're going to develop? Is this a first-round pick? Because right now, if you were to say, hey, Cam Newton, you play against Tua, who's the better quarterback?
Right.
I don't know. It might be Cam Newton still, but
maybe
who's the team going to keep? The team's going to keep Tua,
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
That part. Yeah, that part. Oh, he's younger. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
no doubt. But but either here, the Cam Newton train, it is what it is. It's moved on. Right now, it's Greer or bust. And as you just said, and we both agree here, if it's going to be Greer, cool. Then get Rush up out of here. We don't need 3 quarterbacks on this roster.
And 4 if you conclude DiNucci on the practice squad. Who's actually going to get reps in practice? So it's one of those things, and I started to bring him up again, but it's one of those things, there's only so many balls that are going to be thrown during the day. So why would we need 4 quarterbacks?
Well, your boy Nucci's going to be running that, Nucci man. Shout out to my Nucci man gang people that still ride it, because I am. But with that being said, he's going to be your scout team quarterback because he's athletic. And then he'll make our quarterbacks feel good. He'll give them a little bit of candy, throw some picks to them, make them get some interceptions. But you brought up a good point there. You did bring up a good point. Going forward, we'll kind of end the Will Greer on this. Let me ask Herrera, do you think it's going to be Greer and Dak, and they're going to get rid of Rush, or are they going to carry 3?
I could see them carrying 3 for a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then moving on. I
let him catch up. Maybe let him catch up.
Yep. I could see that happening. I would still just be like, okay, now we're only going to carry 2 just because we need it.
Right.
But I could see them trying to play it safe and carrying 3 for, say, the first 3 weeks or so. But
you brought up my guy, Nucci Man gang in the building. He did make it back to the practice squad. If you had happened to tune over to J Tuck's channel, Cowboys fans only. CFO gang in the building. We did talk about the 53-man roster, and I told everybody, I was like, hey.
Mm-hmm.
And look, and not just me, my guy Nick on Twitter literally told everybody, hey, Nucci's going to be on the practice squad, guys.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't believe us, Nick. They didn't believe us, Nick, but where's he at?
He's there. And I followed up and tweeted about it saying, like, I don't think people realize what type of players make the practice squad. They're not all these up and coming developmental guys. You know, there's guys that are going to be able to give you certain looks. So kind of what you were saying, he's going to run a very gimmicky practice squad offense, and he can do it because he is athletic. Yes. You know, he doesn't have great mechanics. I don't think they're considering him as an heir apparent to Dak. So like, that's not it. It's an arm. It's a guy who can run, and it's someone who knows the system. If they find someone who is also young and has more potential, then yeah, they'll bring him on. But those guys aren't common. So they're not just laying on the street and you can just pick them up. You know, they're on other people's practice squads already or on their active rosters. So I'm fine with it. Again, like, he's right now the 4th quarterback, so I'm not really worried. And if they drop one of them, he's the 3rd. And if someone gets hurt, they're going to get someone else in here. They're not going to bring up DiNucci again. He's not ready. And then that's not his role anymore. He's the equivalent of Jamel Showers that doesn't play safety, which maybe they'll put him in safety on spread spot. You never know.
Well, maybe. You know, I did make this. I did make the case. Just cut all the quarterbacks and let Cedric Wilson be the backup quarterback, because I mean, he's, you know, 50% of his passes have been touchdowns in the league. Exactly. But neither here nor there. But let's get to the practice squad. So our guy Isaac, you know, from Mexico. Obviously, tackle. Always more of a guard, but neither here nor there. We got the international exemption. What's the wait? They put him in the practice squad. I don't know if they designated him for the international exemption yet or not. So I have to wait and see. So it gives him a chance, because if he goes to the international, I don't believe they can bring him up. On the practice squad, though, they could possibly bring him up. Man, unfortunately, boy, and here's the one that hurts, because let's be clear. Let's rewind real quick. Everybody the Cowboys cut cleared waivers. Mm-hmm. And they pretty much kind of got all those guys back except for one. They played chicken. They rolled the dice. They came up snake eyes. And the guy, Rondell Carter, went and decided to go sign with Arizona and not come back to our practice squad. Nick, how do you feel about Carter escaping here?
Initially, I didn't like. I mean, I like the player. I didn't like the move. But after I thought about it, I mean, again, he just signed to a practice squad.
Right.
If, say, one of our guys gets hurt tomorrow,
you sign to the regular roster
him from their practice squad. So it's not like he's on a 53. He wants a chance to start, and he looks at our roster and he sees a lot of guys in front of him and a lot of guys with similar styles. So you got to do what's best for you. I mean, if he wanted to come back to our practice squad, I'm assuming he had an invite, but he wanted to try elsewhere. He did the same thing last year, and he came back. So I think it was Indianapolis.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, I was going to say, yeah. Well, we got him back to the practice squad last year, and then the Colts poached him.
Yep.
And then he ended up coming back to us anyways. So yeah, I mean, a little indifferent there.
He was the only guy that I was like, oh man, that stinks that we cut him. I thought he had potential. I probably and I don't know what their long-term play is on Kamara.
Right.
I thought Carter was better. They do play slightly different roles, I feel like. So maybe they kept him because he is a better special teams player. Maybe they wanted more of a pure rusher. I really don't know, but at the end of the day, those guys aren't going to get a lot of snaps. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're going to talk about and be upset and different things. But it's not going to really matter to the ultimate goal. And this is kind of when we talked about the 53-man roster a couple of days ago. I'm like, I mean, we're talking about wide receiver 6 or 7, and maybe they make the team. I'm like, but let's be clear. They're not going to be the difference makers in us getting to the ultimate goal. But, it's roster building. It's different things. So we talk about them. So, but let me run them down. So Darian Thompson, another guy who got cut and now is back on the squad. Special teams ace. We have to wait and see how that plays out. Jeremy Sprinkle back to the practice squad, tight end. Brandon Smith, wide receiver, Iowa. There are definitely some people that liked what Brandon Smith did during the preseason. So he did have some moments, especially on special teams. I do find this interesting. I got Nick Ralston, quote unquote fullback, if you will. Now, I tried to pitch this and they didn't do it. I pitched him as an H-back. And I said, look, You carry 2 running backs, which we were currently carrying. We're about to get a guy. We'll talk to him in just a second. I know we're running a little bit late. I'll get you out of here. I said, well, you can make him your 3rd tight end and your 3rd, running, running back room if you wanted to. They decided not to do that. But they did list him, though, as a tight end on the practice squad.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Thought that's interesting.
That is very interesting.
Thought that is very interesting. And as Mr. Keeman said, they tried to. Yes, they tried to. They cut him. He cleared waivers. They tried to bring Carter back, but he chose to sign with Arizona's practice squad instead. So that's where we are. Ross is listed as a tight end now on the practice squad. Arsas Mitchell at wide receiver. Braylon Jones, the guard. Obviously, Hardy, we talked about him a little extensively earlier. Mm-hmm. Justin Helmsley was a little bit of a surprise cut with the injury, right? Because I thought with the injury with Gallimore, I thought he might make it, but he makes it back to the practice squad as well. And he had a good preseason. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if he's one of those guys that maybe when Gallimore does go to IR, they bring him back in. Maybe I don't know, because he was one of the guys that I don't think
they're going to put Gallimore on IR though.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, look, if we take both, there was 2 different reports about how long he'd be out. So let's combine them, right? So if we combine them, it says 4 to 8 weeks. How long ago was that, though? 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago?
Okay. I was thinking 2, 3, but okay, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer than that, though. Yeah, because Okay. So if it's been 4 weeks and we said 4 to 8, well, we can shrink it down. I mean, I think he's back before October or by October of the beginning of October. I don't think they're going to put him on IR.
Well, if he's there by October, how many games is that? That's at least 3. Yeah, so I mean, IR is only 3 weeks. The new IR, so I don't see why you wouldn't.
That's true. That's true.
If you're gonna miss the first 3 games or even the first 2 games, might as well keep that roster spot and IR him. I mean,
interesting. It's an interesting point.
You can't expect him to come off of the IR and be 100%. He's gonna have to work back his strength too. So, I mean, I don't know. That'd be an interesting move unless he's way further along than I thought. That'd be awesome.
Sign us up, right? Yeah. And again, we're talking about and really it's going to come back to the strength, how much pain he can handle, and different things. If we look at anything the Cowboys have been doing, 4 to 8 weeks. Here's the other side to your IR point. They might be closer to the 8 weeks because they've been very tentative on these injuries. So, no, Parker did not make it back. No, he did not. I'm guessing C. Parker is what I'm guessing, and I haven't seen him make it back. But Austin Fayolu, the Oregon defensive tackle, obviously Ben DiNucci, Tyler Coyle, who's very interesting Tyler Coyle, linebacker / safety style. Purdue, before Purdue played for St. John's, I believe. Don't quote me, but yeah, interesting guy there. Burton, I mean, first and foremost, Burton wears number 33. Fire him right now. I hate the fact that Burton wears 33. It's Tony Dorsey. Like, I get it. I get it, Jerry. Like, Tony's before you own the team. Stop giving out number 33, please. That's 1. 2, they should have cut him by halftime against Jacksonville, but he came back. And look,
I kind of feel bad for him because he did have a rough game against Jacksonville. But before that, he wasn't. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't great, but he also wasn't terrible. He made some plays. But man, that was a bad one to end on, and that's what people remember.
Yeah, and look,
he wasn't not saying he was going to make it either way, but.
And to be honest, when he got called up last year, he actually wasn't bad last year. And I think Cowboys Nation does need to at least understand that backside. Last year, but I mean, my goodness, how was it not to be very bad last year on how horrible our defense was? But here he is, he's back.
Yeah.
Kyron Brown, cornerback as well, and of course Isaac. Now I think this is kind of par for the course for me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You cut these guys. They clear waivers. You got them back. You want a Carter. Okay. Here we are. But as I said before, man, this is a very fluid situation. I mean, Nick, we have 7. We are currently keeping 7 wide receivers right now.
Yeah, it's not going to say that way.
Yeah. You feel me? It's not like Simi and Turner are not going to be on the 53-man roster. So there are things to be had. Things are going to move around. So I mean, enjoy where we're at right now. We kind of have an idea, but I guarantee, I would say by Wednesday next week, this thing will be what do they call it? So zero dark 30. I think that's when you're focused. What was that mode that LeBron went into? It's playoff time, zero dark 30. I'm cutting off social media, whatever he called it back in the day.
Yeah.
Like by Wednesday next week, this roster, that 53,
yeah,
you can kind of sink your teeth into. Any surprises? I didn't think they would bring everybody back that they cut. I really didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like we overhype our own players. Like other people are really going to claim all of our guys we cut. So I am surprised that there wasn't more new names. I feel like there's always a handful of guys that we bring onto our practice squad that were kind of out of nowhere. So that's a little odd. But yeah, the names, I guess they don't shock me. But again, like we said, it's going to be changing here, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys aren't even on the practice squad in another couple days.
Now, the third running back position, which is, highly contested. Are we going to bring somebody in or whatever? There is word. Corey Clement, former Eagles. I think he was up with the Giants. He got cut.
Giants, yep.
Looks like they are bringing him in. Does some special teams things, even with the return game. We'll have to wait and see if the return game happens. But they're bringing him in for the third running back spot. I guess I'm okay there. The kid from Denver got cut. I was kind of maybe thinking they would pick up the phone there, possibly. I mean, in his, sparingly, he's averaged 4 yards per carry. But Clement probably gives you a little bit more on the special team side. That way, obviously, currently as well to the Cowboys, we don't have a long snapper. We don't have a punter. We don't have a punter. So we can look at that one of two ways. We're just going to punt this year. It's fine. All gas, no brakes.
Don't punt when you're already scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, you can't do it. But what it does boil down to is these are other moves, right, that are just wink deals. Wait till us get this roster right. We're going to bring you back. So this is how you kind of know, like, some of these guys currently on the roster, like a Kamara, I'm telling you now, Kamara is hey, HBO was here. We highlighted some guys. Hold on. Keep him, right, Nick? I think you kind of talked about that a little bit. That's kind of what you were thinking. I'll let you kind of expound on that.
So, sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, I said you were kind of bringing it up to me. Say, hey, I think, this is HBO. Nick is here. Kamara's here. HBO needed a guy to make it. You were kind of bringing that up on Twitter.
Story. I think it's one of those ones that, and there's a couple names that I think that will be out the door here soon once we do get those guys that need to watch it. And I mean, if you're going to have a guy that is going to have to be cut, you're going to have to cut somebody. It's a good one to have that was highlighted on a TV show. So it is good. It's some good PR because they probably won't blast it on Twitter as much if they cut him tomorrow than it was on the day that all the cuts were made. So it's fine. But like Kamara, I think Turner or Semi should be a little worried.
Yeah.
One of those two, if not both.
Cooper Rush.
Then, Cooper Rush. So
yeah,
that's 3 or 4 potential spots for the kicker or the punter, long snapper, and potentially running back 3 or whoever else they want to bring. So, they should be on notice. They shouldn't buy a house there yet.
At all. And I think for sure, that Greer here means Rush is gone. I completely agree there. I definitely think Clement coming in, it's got to cost a spot, and we know we're not carrying We're not going to carry 7 wide receivers. I'm a 5 wide receiver guy, but I've said before I think they're going to carry 6. If we look at the contract situation, right, and look, and Simi is 6, right, going into next year, you only got 3 under contract with Simi. You have Cooper, you have Lamb, and then you have Simi. The rest are gone. So, I think Simi and people are like, oh, well, Turner should be here. He played better, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't disagree with that, guys. Yes, Turner played better this preseason. Absolutely. Look, tape don't lie. However, what we have to understand at points and times, I'm not going to bring up Stephen Jones's name. Just GMs of all teams, if you will. Okay. They have to build for this year, but they have to build this year and worry about down the line. So, yes, a lot of people in Cowboys Nation want to call this politics. It's not really politics. It's just business. It's not personal. It's just business.
If we were talking about wide receiver 3, someone who's actually going to get serious snaps, then yes, give me the better player.
Right.
We're talking about wide receiver 6. So this guy might be active on game day. Might. So give me the guy that I can invest in for the next, like you said, 3-4 years or whatever, and hopefully develop over a guy who's older. I believe it's a couple years older, right? And on a 1-year deal. So, and to be honest, you probably.
Look, and Malik's been on 2 teams and cut already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what it is. Look, and this is kind of how it is. And I think sometimes Cowboys Nation gets really involved and think, well, the Cowboys just do this dumb stuff. Man, go follow a team up for a whole offseason and watch. Every single team does this because they have to worry about not just this year, but moving forward. Look, and here's the thing. If you think Turner's that guy, then go sign to a 3-year deal, which is going to cost you more than Simi, and cut Simi that you just drafted in the 5th round. That's bad business, though. It's not going to happen. So, just a little bit of enlightenment there, if you will, on how the business side works and separating the fan things from that. Boom. My guy says, do you guys think that had an influence for Simi to be on the team? Do you guys think that? I think at the end of the day, sure. If let's take football out of it. All right, Kima. Nick, let's take football out of it. Let's say we're a manager of a retail store. All right. Let's say that. And we have 2 people, right? And the 2 people that we have, and we know we have to, like, hey, we have our block of hours, right? We can hire, we got to do it, whatever. And we know, like, okay, well, this one guy who's 17 is going to be here for 3 years. But this other guy is 21 and we got him for a year going to college.
Yep.
Well, as a manager, who am I going to invest in? The guy that I know that I'm going to have for 3 years, reduce my churn and keep for more years and develop, or the guy that might be a little bit better because he's a little bit older. However, in 12 months, he's gone. Yep. Well, as a manager, my job is to lower costs and develop people because I'm a manager. I have to develop people. So I'm going to take the 17-year-old kid over the 21-year-old kid because I have him long term and I got to develop him to get to that point. And I think that's just kind of, the out of the box thinking that we have to look at when it comes to these draft picks, roster building, not just this year. You have to think about the years beyond.
Absolutely. Yeah. The only difference, I'd probably fire both and just hire Justin Hamilton.
Well, I mean, Nick.
But no, it makes perfect sense. Like that,
look,
that's a good
you know what you hit me with, Nick? You with that Ben DiNucci sidearm just then. Ugh.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, I agree with you because, like you said, who are you going to spend time training? Because training has a cost, and it's one of those things where, like, are you going to train the kid that has potential, is younger, and you have a 4-year deal, or the one, like you said, going off to college in a year potentially? So it makes sense, and let's not pretend like Turner was like this elite receiver. So, and again, he showed out, he did well, but like, he wasn't doing anything amazing. He's fast. He does bring something that's a little bit more unique from the rest of the team. But it's not enough for me to actually like get him on the field. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as much. It's still a long-term play. So.
Right. I mean, and look, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. If the difference of us beginning to number 6 is the 6th wide receiver, we're in bad shape, guys. we're just in bad shape. It just is what it is. I mean, for me personally, I don't care what team you root for. Look, shout out to Malik Turner, and as my guy Nick just said, he got hurt and missed some time already. But I mean, done better. But he also did work the fumble, right? The 4th down caught fumble, whatever. Look, I want to invest in the younger guy that I spend draft capital on. I got weight in the game. Let me see what he develops into. I know what Malik. Look, at this point, And look, we can say meritocracy or this is a bad take. Look, if you've been on 3 different teams, you've done different things, you just kind of have a beat on what this guy is. Unless you are, a little short in the game at wide receiver. But we're not. We're long in the game. Exactly. So that puts Turner up against the wall a little bit. Mm-hmm. Look, I like Turner's game. I like what he's done. However, where our team sits currently, there's no way, shape, or form that I'm going to keep Turner over Simi. There's just no way.
The one you pick isn't necessarily for 2021. It's like you said, it's for 2022. Who do I want to invest in for potentially next year? That's the hope, at least. Again, if we're having these guys take serious snaps on offense, we have other stuff that we got to worry about. But 2022,
boom.
Who's hopefully our guy?
Hey, and look, and contracts be damned. Mm-hmm. I mean, Simi's number 3 next year. Now, that's not going to happen. I'm just saying. We're just from the contracts. I mean, he'll be number 3 lining up if that was the case. But yeah, man. I mean, we appreciate y'all rocking with us as always. We got one more episode, I guess. Is it 1 or 2? There's one more episode of Hard Knocks, ain't it?
I think so.
They do. I mean, they can't drag it out much longer. We got week 1, so yeah. I guess we got. So we get the Hard Knocks. We got Hard Knocks on next Tuesday to finish it out. Boom, and then we're on to the Bucks.
There we go.
We're on to the Bucks. Let's go. Would that be in case I don't get you on here, Nick? In case week 1 versus the Bucks, prediction, thoughts, whatever you want. Your space right here. How do you feel on September 1st/2nd before we get out of here on the Bucks?
It's not what Cowboy Nation wants to hear. I'm definitely one of the Debbie Downers.
Oh no!
I think it's going to be a good game.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a good game.
All right.
I think we're going to play well. I think that we're going to have a lot of good takeaways. I think there's going to be some like a crazy fumble or something that's going to be the difference of the game. And it's going to be one of those things that might not go in our favor. I wouldn't bet on the Cowboys, but man, if we come out on top, that's going to be huge.
That's gas on the fire. You already know.
But again, I think it's one of those things where if we do lose, I think we're still have a lot of confidence going into week 2. So I don't think it's going to be a big deflating defeat or anything like that. I think we're going to be very positive.
So like the Rams last year, is that what you're telling me?
I don't think it's going to be a boring ass game where we run the ball a bunch and we lose by 2 points and only, I think it's going to be a little bit more exciting than that. I think we're going to see the offense that we expected to see all year last year. I think we're going to see that right out the gate.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to completely disagree with Nick because I am all the way on the gas right now. I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid. I am on. Yeah, bro. I'm all the way on. I'm on Dak revenge season. I'm on arrogant Dak. Man, I'm all the way. He's back. He's on this John Wick. I'm on Zeke revenge season. Man, we are undefeated till we lose, Cowboys Nation. We are undefeated till we lose, and damn it, we're not losing in Tampa. That's how I feel.
I like it.
Now, after if we might happen, if Nick is right and I'm wrong, I'm gonna bring Nick back on and be like, well, Nick, and he's stumbling over my words. So, but right now, I don't care. I don't fear him. I'm ready. It's Dak and Zeke revenge season. They're the vets in the room. They've done the work. We see the work, and I'm super stoked about it. With that being said, man, Nick, man, I appreciate you rocking with me, man.
Appreciate it.
Man, tell the people where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm on Twitter, probably too much. You can find me on Nick_Herrera 34. Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, no. You're definitely not on there too much because I saw you like for like 2 or 3 days. Like, man, where's my guy Nick? And then all of a sudden you pop back up.
Yeah, by the way, actually had me working. It was crazy. I didn't like it.
Man, work. By the way, Nick scored something. He didn't bring it up. I'm a humble brag for him. Nick scored a pretty sweet golden tea machine today. Ooh. My God. A little jelly.
Not just golden tea.
Not just golden tea.
Supposedly 17,000 different arcade games that are loaded on this machine.
Oh my God. So you didn't tell me that. You just showed me the case. You just showed me the damn case. Because I looked at it, I was like, well, there's 4 sticks, but I see the ball. I'm like, okay, whatever. Now it filled me in.
It's these guys at the arcadeguys.com. They're on Etsy and obviously, like, I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just so dope. It's they build these things. They're all custom built. You can get the 4-stick layout. You can get a 2-stick layout.
Yeah, you got
it's
the
ran
4.
off a Raspberry Pi. So, and they just loaded up with all these different games, anywhere from Atari all the way. I think the most recent console is maybe PlayStation 1. Mm-hmm. Most of them work well. Some of them don't. Some of them you do need like a controller to hook up, like some of the PlayStation 1 games. I tried to dive into Mario Kart 64. A little tough on the little joystick, but you can make it work. But man, I got out my old Street Fighter from Super Nintendo days.
Okay.
Forgot how bad I was, starting to practice, and man, it was a cool pickup. It's definitely a struggle staying focused with that and working from home. But
I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, you got the rolling ball right there. I mean, that's the Metro, that's the Millipede, that Centipede. My good. I mean, obviously the Golden Tee, if you will. My goodness, look clean, man. Look clean. You see what that pickup was like? I hate you.
Put that right in the middle of my living room. So.
I'm not mad. That's awesome. Hey, man, we appreciate you rocking with us. As my guy said, y'all see him right there. Nick _Herrera 34. Man, go over there and follow him. You'll see me and him cutting up on Twitter. Me as well on Twitter. Your _guy Nick's. Man, come follow me over there. Almost to 1,200. I'm like 8 away from 1,200. And you see on the bottom, man, Star Game Podcast, man, YouTube channel. Man, go hit that sub and let's do what we do. Man, it's time. We are there. We are 8 days away. Oh, regular season is upon us.
Can't wait.
And we'll find out if me or Nick are right about the Bucks.
One of us is gonna be right.
Look there. Boom. We said we're not losing to Tampa. Boom. And my guy Kenny says he needs one. Man, drop that link one more time for me. Can find where Kenny can find that. It's at Etsy, right?
Yeah, Etsy. I believe it's on. I think you just go straight to their website. I found it on Etsy.
Yeah. Yeah, pull up from my guy.
The arcadeguys.shop actually is what it is.
Oh, there you go. Arcadeguys.shop. Look, not sponsoring us at all.
Nope.
At all. Arcadeguys.shop, man. Go hit him up and check it out, man. Yeah, I saw the setup. He sent it to me. I was super jelly for sure. So yeah, get it in. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. We went way too long. I'm sorry. Well, no, I didn't actually.
No, actually,
I did. I hit it on the button. I said an hour and 20 to 30. We're at 121. So I did okay tonight. Appreciate y'all as always. Hey, look, if you hit the notification button, that bell, you never know when I'm gonna go live. You just don't know. And you never know who's gonna be with me. You hit the bell so you don't miss out. So there's that.